And we were back. Noah and I were back hanging out in the area where all the snacks were, and
it's a good place to hang out. We were reprimanded.
Yeah, and they came walking in with the drone and they're like, oh, man. I go, oh, did you crash it? And they go, no, you ran it over.
Welcome back. Episode 3, Making Speed. Today, we have Tim, who runs our social media. He's also our photographer, multi-talented.
The bearded wonder.
Gorgeous.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
who are you, Tim? Do we find you on the street?
That's a deep question. Where did we find me?
A well?
Craigslist?
It's a deep place.
Yeah, Misconnections. That's where it was.
Misconnections?
That's where we found Dave.
Dave and I were hanging out on Misconnections.
Don't throw yourself under the Dave bus.
I got a job. He got something else? Yeah.
We don't want to. We can't talk about that on air. But yes, he did get something else.
I think we found him at Quick Trip. Actually, that's where we found him. He was
Dave?
at Quick Trip. No, Tim.
Oh. Yeah, you were sitting at the. You were sitting.
He was next to the breakfast pizza.
Yeah, and then we saw
he looked lonely.
And you were sitting at the little picnic table outside, eating
by the hot dog rollers.
A 5-day-old sandwich, which I would never eat, by the way.
And he had a camera around his neck. And it was like started a conversation, said, oh, you take photos? And he's like, oh, yeah, all the time. That's my thing.
It was first, do you need some money? Did you miss your... And then, he ended up being really talented, so it all worked out.
It's great.
Is that the correct story?
That's kind of how I remember it. Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Really, the embarrassing part of it was he was choking on a hot dog, and we had to give him the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Yeah. I heard the only way to save somebody if they're choking on a hot dog is to shove another hot dog down their throat.
Shove it down farther?
Huh?
Yeah. Shove it down farther?
I don't know. Isn't it like unclogging a sink?
Could be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that medical advice? Can we say that? I don't want somebody
I don't think so. No.
None of that's
true.
Kids
don't try that at home.
I don't have any idea what I'm talking about.
I'll have a disclaimer on the show.
You never know these days. It's hard to... I can't seem to steer clear of danger or bad comments. All right. Today's topic or topics for the show are the show we did. One of the most common things everybody wants to talk about whenever they come in. It could be people looking at cars or people we do work for. Maybe at a show, they want to talk about the show. And more specifically, they kind of want to know all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
It's not so much like, oh, that was really cool when you built that. There's some of that, but it's really, we wrote down all the questions they asked us.
Yeah, they want to know details. They want to know, what was it like, and how many hours were you there, and, all that stuff. And it's complicated. I mean, you can't just throw out answers in a matter of a minute. I mean, there's a lot of things to explain about the show, to go into great detail. And that's what we're going to do today. I mean, we've got a lot of good stuff here. I think it'll break it down for everybody. They can kind of get a good idea if they'd want to do it themselves or not.
Tim likes to do it himself. So
he does, yeah.
Hey. Yeah, I put together a list of some of the most common questions, most popular questions that I've seen on social media over the past few years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first one is, how did the show happen? So the show happened because a couple of my customers also pitched and sold TV shows. So they originally had pitched Gas Monkey a really long time ago, and because they're located in St. Louis, they filmed the sizzle piece for Gas Monkey at Classic Car Studio. So it was kind of interesting because originally Richard and Aaron, their deal was they drove around in this beat to shit like 79 Camaro.
Oh gosh.
And stopped at like hot rod shops and bars and it was like diners, drive-ins, and dives, kind of with like a car. So that's the sizzle kind of piece that they were filming. Yeah. They shot here, and so they came in, they shot it, and then they had like a party downtown later, and I remember going to that. This is a long time ago. And then they ended up getting a show, which was absolutely nothing like what they pitched.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how that can happen though? Like, you have an idea, then the network looks at it and they go, oh, yeah, it's cool, but how about this?
It's hard to know where that stuff's going to go. And
that's where we got really lucky, I think, because
I think so.
What was pitched is basically what we did.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, well, I don't know. I guess we could do a show. I try everything once. I've heard good things, I've heard bad things. Anyway, but I felt like it was one of those things that we kind of had to do because I didn't want to look back and say, well, remember when we had the opportunity to do that show and we said no. So we said yes anyway. And when we said yes, we were only at the point where they were going to like make a sizzler and kind of, introduce everybody in the shop. It was like a real quick little piece. A few people said a few different things, just kind of get a flavor of what we do. There was some flying sparks. There was some paints, going on cars. Yeah. And it just was kind of like, it just showed the shop, and it was kind of like, here's who we are. So we shot that, and then I totally forgot about it. So
you shot that at the same time as the Gas Monkey?
No. Gas Monkey, yes. Sorry, I didn't wrap up the first story. So Gas Monkey turned into a completely different show than the show that they, that they shot the little sizzle reel for here. And they were very successful with it and still going.
Yeah, that would have been how many years ago?
10.
10 years ago.
About.
Yeah.
I think they're on season 9 or 10 now.
Oh, no, they're way past
15?
that. Yeah, they're way up in the teens, I think.
I didn't realize they're that far.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of how that went. So anyway, many years later, they were customers of mine, and so we worked on some of their cars actually, and they're like, hey, you want to do a show? And anyway, so yeah, I don't know, maybe, all right, fine. So we shot the sizzle reel, and then I totally forgot about it. It kind of went away.
Yeah.
So at which point they went out, and the way it works is you basically get an opportunity to pitch your show ideas to networks. So
right.
As with any sales pitches, many pitches are made, and very, very, very few are picked up. So anyway, that's kind of how it happened. And then out of nowhere, I got a call, and they were like, hey, the show got picked up. I was like, oh, God, what have we done? So very nervous and also excited.
And there's no way to really prepare for it.
No.
I mean, you don't know what to expect.
No.
You just know what you've heard from other people, and
right.
I mean, it creates a lot of anxiety, I think, just leading up to it.
Yeah, it's a equal parts anxiety and just excitement. I mean, that's a super cool thing to do.
It's a lot of work, though.
It's a lot of work, but going in, we didn't know. It was all like, this person said this.
I think that's a good thing, though, because if you really knew how hard it was going to be to pull it off, you wouldn't do it.
No. And I think they keep it that way.
Yeah,
so that's the trick of show business. If
right.
they, I think and maybe reality TV in general. If you told everybody everything, if you told them how bad it was, if you told them the bad parts, they wouldn't do it for sure. But you tell them the good parts. So we knew all the good parts going in. We had some rumblings of this and that, and maybe it's not that great, or maybe whatever. So,
It was fueled by adrenaline and Monster.
It was.
The first season.
It was crazy. So it happened, and that's the rest is history. So we did 2 seasons, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I don't regret doing it. The next question people always ask.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want to know if the show was scripted.
No.
Or how much of it was scripted.
The show is not scripted.
I'm surprised I couldn't tell from watching.
It was never scripted.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to be, because of the nature of what we do.
Right.
It takes so many hours to make one show.
Yeah, that's something I had kind of written down here was, that it takes, I mean, I don't think people realize how much footage is out there, like it takes to make one episode. So it was on average around 230 to 250 hours of film to be cut down to a 1 hour episode, and that's like,
which is only 42 minutes because you've got commercial stuff as well. So 230 hours, I guarantee there's enough time to get some good funny stuff. And that's when all the best stuff happened, because we were really tired. We were working way too hard. And people were just getting goofy, and that's when all the best stuff.
Yeah,
so there'd be 10 minutes of like just total nonsense screwing around, because it was like a good release at that point.
Yeah, I think as much as we worked and as tired as everybody was, it couldn't be scripted. Yeah. There's no way you couldn't pull it off. You couldn't remember that stuff. You're too wore out to remember lines. You're just working, and they catch you. They'll pull you to the side and have you talk about what you're doing at the time.
Yeah. What are you doing?
That's
and
that's not scripted. That's just like stopping you from working so they can ask you something.
I think I remember the one episode with the Camaro. I think it was Scott dropped the dash.
Yeah.
Like people thought that was scripted. Like, oh, I did that on purpose.
No.
Like, There was nothing scripted.
No, that was no good.
That's a ton of work. We did not do that intentionally.
No. We would not do that intentionally. So
that was probably a $3,000 or $4,000 mistake.
Yeah. They actually edited it for, there's only so much they could put in the show. So we actually we didn't lose it, but they left out the footage of his like terrible reaction.
Yeah.
But he looked like he did not look happy, and nor was he. But yeah, with that many hours in the show, you don't have to. Nothing needs to be scripted.
No.
So they didn't script drama. They didn't push. We weren't pushed in any like.
The cars create the drama, really. I mean, think about like the dash. That kind of stuff does happen. And you ask anybody that works in a hot rod shop or owns one, they can tell you plenty of stories. That the cars will create lots of drama.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no need for that. People usually will ask us, how long we took to film, how tight was the schedule, and that's a good question. So, and the funny thing is, when we started, we didn't. When we signed up for it, when we said we were going to do the show, we had no idea how long it was going to take or how much time we were going to get to film, which is crazy sounding now, but we actually didn't. So it wasn't until everybody was coming in town from the film crew that they said, you have this much time, which I think for the first season was something crazy.
It was like 11 or 12 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty short.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which we then were able
for
to...
8 episodes.
For 8 episodes.
For 8 episodes.
Yeah, which included A and B builds.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
So 16 builds, if you will.
So, 16 builds in 11 weeks. That's what they had slotted. And I think we were able to push it in the end.
We got an additional 4 weeks, I think.
But that's all.
3 to 4 weeks.
Which is totally insane. So,
then for season 2, we got 6 months, right?
It was 6 months, but we had 2 more episodes too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right,
10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time.
No, not at all. So the only way to get that, we did hire some additional people. That was a necessity, and we also
work more,
and you work insane hours.
Yeah.
So we doubled our. Normally we do 40 hours.
I
pretty
think
standard.
that's something like everybody in the shop would say too. We're all in agreement that we're not going to cut our quality, because of the time frame that we had. So the only solution to that is you work more.
Way more hours.
Yeah, you're not going to cut out. You can't shave down the time it takes to do these builds if you're going to do them the same way you always do them.
Right.
So we just had to step it up.
Yeah, it's difficult if you just. For us, we're making a TV show, but it involved an actual business. It involved real customers,
right? Cars
that we're actually paying for, and we're going to drive in the end, which is tricky. If you're making a fictional TV show, you can have props,
right?
It doesn't matter. But we actually had to build an entire car in that amount of time, which is just totally insane. So, and we did.
Yeah,
and nobody believed really. In the middle of it, like we all saw like how much progress we were making, but I think it was hard. Nobody believed it really could be done. Like we believed in ourselves, but it was like the odds definitely looked like they were stacked.
Well, I think when you came in to our offices and you looked at our master calendar that we had up on the wall,
right.
With the schedule of every single build, what needed to be filmed, and it was day by day. And when the completion date was supposed to be for the reveal, you look at that and you're like, man, I don't know how that's possible.
Very intimidating.
It was intimidating, but it was good because without organization, you could never get that done. It had to be super organized and on schedule, and you had to be very strategic about placing guys and girls, in the right places at the right time to get the stuff done. And it was that part alone is very tough, just to make it all happen.
Yeah, our guys worked their ass off to get it done, though.
Oh, yeah.
People worked extremely hard.
Yeah.
It's amazing at the end of it, we got it done. They pulled together, got it done. And
right.
That's so much work in a short amount of time. It's crazy.
Normally the night before, the reveal, it was everybody. So it doesn't matter if you're a mechanic here, you're a fabricator, painter, whatever you do here, you were doing something else on that night. It's like
right.
You were just helping wherever there was an open spot to work. You just kind of jumped in there and did it. And that's really cool because I think it was good for team building. Everybody pulled together and made it happen.
It was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredible. So we pulled off some stuff that I don't know. It was actually so like nutty and crazy that when we stopped filming, it almost seems like we're still, and we're so busy all the time, but it almost seems like we're missing something, like there's not enough going on because the adrenaline is not there.
Yeah, that first week after the film crew leaves, and we go back to our regular work schedule, we're like, man, it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, everybody's gone. It's back to normal, and
it feels like a half day every day.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
One thing worth mentioning is like the cars. If we run into an issue, usually we can kind of push it. Like, all right, hold on, let's get this part. Let's wait. Hold on, let's call the customer and tell them, hey, we had this issue with this or whatever. We got to wait. Whatever we're trying to accomplish, But because we were up against a TV schedule, they'd set the date for the show to air, and then so the cars had to be done.
Right.
The customers were already there. So
and a lot of the customers were coming in from out of town too, so we had to schedule things.
Right.
We couldn't change it, or else it would interrupt a lot of people's lives.
And a lot of times too, for the reveal, we were going to like really cool locations like Kiel Center and all that, and they had that booked up, and you can't change the dates on it.
The cars had to be finished, like no matter what. So and they were completed, which is nutty.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think we should talk about a little bit too. Of the cars were done, but we did have to go through at the very end and do fine details on every car.
Oh yeah.
Because that's one thing I think, everybody here and everybody in the shop would say is, I think we're proud to say that we put 200 to 300, even 400 or 500 miles on every build that we do.
Absolutely.
Shaking them down, making sure they're correct, to do the best that we can to deliver a good car to our customers, and just because they were on TV, they were built fast, but we still went through and did our same process in the end, and brought them up to a good drivable state and delivered them as we normally would.
Yeah, the order of operations was different a little bit, differed from what we normally do, but we absolutely had to go back and test everything, and some stuff had to be completed, whatever, charge air conditioning systems, it doesn't have to have cold air to be on TV, whatever, lots of stuff
but
like that.
But you can't fake driving a car,
no.
That's the thing, like,
and that's what we said from the beginning.
Our cars were out there driving on a track a lot of times even, and that was real.
We stacked the cards against ourselves pretty high, because originally when they were pitching show, they were like, well, what do you think, actually, they're like, what do you think the show should be about? Like, oh, I don't know why you're asking me. But so I said, one thing would be cool is if we actually got out and drove the cars, because I think people believed, you'd see a lot of times they wouldn't drive the cars.
Yeah. And we know what that means now too, is they didn't run and drive.
They didn't run and drive.
They
absolutely did not run and drive.
Time.
Because the difference between a car looking cool in a picture or on TV and actually being functional is vast.
Oh, it is, yeah. So, a lot of people really enjoyed that part of the show too.
Right.
Because like the whole time you're like, oh man, I wonder what that's going to sound like, or what's it going to look like going down the road. Mm-hmm. And I think you got everything from our show, which is like the whole build process and then a good finale at the end of seeing it drive. So I think that helped with the popularity of the show.
Yeah, we had killer reveals set up for every car, so that made it exciting. But we stacked them.
And some good customers along the way.
We had good customers.
Tony, Crazy Tony. Everybody wants him back.
Crazy Tony should have his own show.
You can hear Tony from 3 miles away.
Yeah, we're still trying to get Tony his own show, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We need to get him in here.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, he's probably in Colorado still. I don't know where.
You can do a show around Tony.
Write that down, Jace. We need to get Tony.
We need to
get
Tony
in
Concrete
here.
Tony.
Concrete Tony.
Get Tony in here. So people want to know, they always want to, what are like the good and the bad, the highs and the lows. I could probably do a whole hour-long segment.
Yeah, that's a whole other segment.
On that. I guess.
What about this? What's it like running a business with a film crew always here?
Yeah, that's I think there's one of the things I think that's notable is there are a lot of, competing interests.
Right.
So, we want to get the cars done and have the cars be nice make money as a business, keep our customers happy. And then the film crew is trying to, produce a good quality show on a deadline and on their own budget,
Right.
so they can keep the network happy that has their own budget and their own timeline. So there's a lot of stuff going on there.
A lot of compromise, and that's really what it took. We had to sit down and state the facts, of where we were coming from on some things, and they did the same with us as well, and I think it was a two-way street. I mean, we had to give in on some things, and they had to give in on some stuff too.
Yeah.
If not, we couldn't have made it happen. There's no way.
No.
If we would have stood our ground on everything, and if they would have done the same too, then we would have just gotten nowhere.
We didn't have enough time to stand our ground.
No.
Neither did they. So,
Right.
yeah, compromise happened quickly.
Yeah.
And, and we kept.
But essentially, though, it really was like, especially for Noah and I, it was we had two jobs. One which was doing our regular job, trying to run this place, and then also the TV part of it. We had to be on camera too, so it created a lot of work.
Yeah, you guys were always getting pulled off to do other stuff.
Yeah.
That was the tricky part too. Trying to shut down and be quiet over there. They're trying to film something over there.
Right. Yeah, because we're trying to get.
And that was frustrating for some of the guys, and I understand that because they're looking at deadlines. They know, like, oh, we got to get this done, but I can't work because we have to make it quiet, and that's some of the compromises. We found ways. Luckily we have this huge door in the shop. We can divide it almost in half, and that helped with some of the noise. We had to get creative, I'd say, and find some ways to work around that stuff to get it done. But it took us a while.
Yeah. So by the second season, we actually had
things in place. We knew the routine a lot better.
But it took two different crews of people working with each other for an entire season to figure out what we had to do. So by the second season, some of the things we changed is we found in the first season is the crew would miss because there was so much going on at one time. They'd miss important shots they wanted for making the show. Like they needed the engine going in, or they wanted the wheels going on, they wanted the hood getting whatever it was, stuff like that. That's going to be have a big visual impact, and maybe it's part of the story they're trying to tell. So the second season we had a shot list,
right,
and we just start crossing them off. Like so, we have
Yeah, and then that would stay with each vehicle, and then all the guys that were working on that vehicle had the list too, so they knew what we were looking for. And another little detail that made a big difference was, and it sounds crazy, but everybody went to lunch at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the first season, there was people taking lunch at all different times. And you know what happens then? The film crew, they all took lunch together, but the guys would be out there working.
Right.
And that's when things got missed a lot of times. So like all those little changes really, I think, helped out, at least for the film crew as far as getting what they wanted out of it, each shot.
That was one of my favorite things about the show.
The lunch.
Free lunch.
Somehow.
Free lunch.
I don't know if you had the door, like an alarm on the door. You knew because you would be in the lunchroom helping the caterer unpack everything.
Free lunches.
I have good ears.
I missed
or a nose.
I missed the lunch.
I don't know.
And a nose. Yeah, I could smell it coming.
It was nice not having to think about lunch.
That was cool,
day.
but I couldn't eat any more pasta. I was gonna.
Yeah,
I was
pretty bad.
Gonna have to get my arteries unclogged. It was bad.
We had definitely had some highlights in there.
Fried chicken from Southern Zoo.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Sauce on the side.
Just from running the business, was financially it's pretty tricky, I think, because we went from guys that are working on an average 40 hours a week to guys that are working 80 to 100 hours a week, and then as soon as you go over 40, you're hitting overtime hours. So financially, it was very expensive for us.
I think that, and on the other side of it is trying to keep all of our customers up to date because we're billing so fast on these vehicles. We had to constantly call them and say, hey, this is where you're at. You need to make another deposit so we can kind of keep going. And so it was very tricky, to make sure that we had the cash flow coming in because we had to pay everybody. They were working their butts off. They had, working all the overtime. So
the ball moved a lot faster.
Yeah, you had to really be on top of it.
It was tricky. So I would, for people that are considering doing something like that and maybe aren't in a great financial position, maybe a really bad thing to do.
It could be
because you've got to be able to, you've got to be able to float a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just because you're building so quickly, and maybe
the administrative time, you can only do it so fast, right? Because you're waiting on invoices to come in on parts, and there's all these things that you can't necessarily change the time frame on. And so to try to get your billing together takes what it takes, right? But the cash is going out faster than that.
The cash is going out really fast. Our payrolls were always, 2 to 2.5 times what they are now.
Right.
Which means, it's just moving. You're buying parts. Everything is happening at a faster rate. So that's a tricky component that I don't even know if I've ever heard. No one ever talks about that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if people don't want to talk about it or if people aren't thinking about it, but it's certainly a good, you're in a way, I think you're kind of financing a little bit of the show.
I think if you're looking for something good out of something bad, though, you can think about it like this.
Yeah.
In the end, when the show's over, right, you've kind of come up with some good practices, because if you couldn't develop something like that while you're doing the show, like accounting practices or billing or, that's accounting, I guess. But, you have to come up with some good practices, right?
Absolutely.
To be able to make it through that. And so then after the show, then you've got some good stuff set in place. You just keep doing it because it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were definitely able to sharpen the axe a little bit there.
Yeah.
So, people always ask this, but they want to know, and I always thought it was obvious, but they're like, TV time versus real. Do you really build those cars in? I have had a couple people say, like, did you really build those cars in an hour?
Really? Wow.
I don't know.
I think you weren't picking up on the sarcasm, maybe.
No, they do say so. Yeah, there is the sarcastic angle, but no, some people actually. There's a few people out there that have asked me that, and I nicely told them, no, they took a long time to build. So the hours are the same. We just crammed them into a shorter amount of time. But we did build. I think like Tim was saying, the first season was, I don't know, 4 months.
Yeah,
it was a little shorter, but it was a little easier too.
Yeah.
Season 2, we definitely took on bigger projects.
We did. I think, season 1, it's probably safe to say our average build was 1,500 hours, something like that. Now, season 2, it was a lot higher than that. It was probably 2,200 hours on average for every build that we did. And you try to condense that down. So like I said, they filmed 230 hours of that 2,200. So there's a lot of things that you don't see.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
So some stuff that was cool that didn't get included, and some stuff that was obviously boring. And
so how long does it normally take to build a car, from start to finish, frame off?
Well,
versus TV.
2,500 hours is probably a good
year.
18 months is more realistic.
We're doing
it's probably 6. Our average.
Yeah. 18 months, and it can go into longer than that, depending on what vehicle you're trying to do. Because if you're doing something kind of special, a car that they don't make like any kind of reproduction parts for, it really slows it down, because you got to search around to find stuff that's good enough quality to at least start with. Especially with trim work and weather strips and all the things that like.
A lot of times when they get to buy second cars that don't.
Yeah, we've done that before, just to get those extra parts.
Just to get trim pieces.
Yeah.
Buy a second car.
Right.
It's a lot.
So, 2,500 hours and 18 months is a good starting point for a full build here.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't easy, but it was fun because it was a lot of hours that, it was stacking up quickly. So, we had to rise to the occasion.
But I will say, with all that being done, the customers, I think, had a really good time with it.
Oh, yeah.
They got their car done really fast, which they love that. But I really think they enjoyed coming in here, being on the show. Mm-hmm. They got to know our guys more than normal, too.
Sure.
Which I think is good for all of our guys and the customers, too, because let's face it, I mean, these guys put their heart and souls in every one of these cars. And to be able to share that with the customer, I think was really good for everybody involved. So that I think the show kind of brought all that together really well.
Yeah, they also enjoyed the reveals.
Yeah.
Driving the cars on TV. And
yeah.
Everybody had a good. And that was a concern of mine. You don't know how, And I'm like, well, we're not only are we throwing our the business into the fray, but all of our employees, ourselves obviously, and the customers. So that was one of those things. Well, I hope they.
Well, they're adrenaline.
Like
they get out to the track,
and
you'd be riding along with them, and they're excited. They've first of all they've got this new car. They've never driven it before. It's got great horsepower. I mean, they're on film. You think about it. Like if you were that guy, what would you do?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So there was some some scary moments for Noah because of that. But in the end, it was.
I'm not a good passenger.
Yeah,
happy to drive around a track by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be driven around a track by somebody else. No thanks.
But there was some funny things that happened out there. I think that's a whole nother episode, really. I mean, we could talk about some funny stuff.
We don't want to dish all our funny stuff now.
Yeah.
There's endless amounts of crazy stuff.
Well, you have that one memento hanging on your wall in the office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mini Cooper.
Talk about that one.
Yeah, we did have a.
Mini Cooper on the straightaway doing about 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, maybe a little more.
For whatever reason, the hood just popped open.
The hood popped open.
That was pretty.
That was
scary.
not good.
Yeah, it hit the safety. Yeah, the hood popped open and hit the safety catch, and then I was going fast enough where it just it came up hard and smacked the top of the windshield frame. So it's on camera somewhere, and it looks insane.
Yeah, I think Katie has it on her phone.
Did not make the cut, but it, which I'm kind of glad about.
Yeah, right.
But it was scary. Luckily, we were going in a straight line, and I could see either sides of the safety wall, so I just stopped in a straight line, and it was fine. But that hood was not. That wasn't coming back together.
That was freaky.
That has a large trash can sized dent.
Now it hangs on your office wall as a reminder.
It looks really as a reminder that.
We should check safeties on hoods.
Never drive a Mini Cooper faster than 55 miles an hour. So
that's what we really learned.
Yeah. But the customer was in the car too. So
well, that kind of leads. That kind of leads us to this next question of what problems happened behind the scenes. And that was obviously one thing that happened. I would say overall, though, there wasn't a lot of big problems. There was small things, getting the wrong parts. That can be a setback, stuff. Like setbacks, right? Or
just little hiccups here and there.
Or like we get a car stripped down to bare metal, and we're like, oh man, we didn't expect to find this. And while you see a little bit of that on TV, it actually turns into a lot more time. So there was like little things that popped up here and there that cost us time.
Yeah.
But overall, I'd say there wasn't a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, just it was basically the same type of problems we normally have, but there were more of them because we were working longer hours. But nothing really crazy happened. As some fixes of stuff at the track. Weren't really outside of any, mostly safety measure type stuff. What else? I'm trying to think of stuff that the.
I ran over a drone.
Yeah,
that was kind of
a lot of drones were lost.
Yeah, I'm also known as the drone slayer.
That was an expensive day.
It was. Yeah, that was not good.
You didn't run over a cheap drone either.
No,
that was like a $10,000 drone.
Yeah.
Charles did.
And I did. And the sad thing or scary thing, I didn't even realize I did it.
No.
And we were back. Noah and I were back hanging out in the area where all the snacks were, and
it's a good place to hang out. We were reprimanded.
Yeah, and they came walking in with the drone, and they're like, man, I go, oh, did you crash it? And they go, no, you ran it over. That was a late night, though, I don't think I ever went to bed that night before that reveal. So we're tired, hanging out,
Backing over drones.
Actually, I drove forward over it, didn't back over it. So that's even worse. I'll admit it was bad.
We just left it in front of the truck?
Yeah. So then from there on out, they had orange cones, big orange cones that they would set up around all their equipment so we could find it.
If I had a $10,000 drone, I think I'd have cones around it regardless.
Right.
It was in the middle of a parking lot, in our defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Well, actually, I didn't hit it. In Charles' defense.
I did it.
I didn't do it.
And I did get a T-shirt out of it. I've got a T-shirt at home.
Custom T-shirt.
Yeah, it says Drone Slayer on it. And they gave it to me. I'm surprised they gave me anything.
Covered in with tear stains all over it. A tear stained T-shirt.
Those guys with the drones were awesome, though.
Oh yeah,
So
great
talented.
guys.
Yeah, the best one they did is we were driving on the 53 F100 down a country road,
Yeah,
and I think I was in the passenger seat. Rob was driving, the customer, and the drone guy, the drone operator, he was sitting in the tailgate of a minivan that was in front of us, and he was flying the drone backwards in between the pickup truck and the minivan.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Down a twisty road. There's mailboxes. He was.
And you guys were going like 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
At
You guys were
speed.
hauling
It was
ass.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but the other thing about this drone footage that a lot of people probably don't even know how we shot this, but the opening scene to our
Oh,
show,
yeah.
right? That was all shot by drone,
Right.
That was by them.
flying through the shop.
Same guys.
Yeah, took us 22 times, 22 takes to get that to get that shot done.
22 takes, but it's one shot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
one
There's-
shot.
It doesn't.
We had to. I don't know how many times. Like you pulled that car in and out 22 times. I helped Paul put an engine in 22
That was a
times.
long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The poor Butch and whoever else it was, they had to push a car each time. So they
Yeah.
push it 5 feet and then pull it back
Yeah.
5 feet and push
Yeah,
it.
but 22 times, and those guys flew that
Ugh.
drone through the whole shop. It
Yeah.
was really
Through cars, under
yeah,
lifts.
very amazing to see.
It
That
was
was a cool shot.
so. Yeah, it started over in our fab area, went through the mechanical, went through then went through the body shop, and ended up in the showroom.
Right.
So we didn't think. I don't know. Probably about 15 takes in. I think we were all like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna happen.
That was the intro for both seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Once you nail that, you don't redo it. You're not going for another trick.
Yeah,
either.
Brian got some pretty good kudos for that. I think a lot of the people in his industry thought that was awesome. I don't think that had really been done before, for an
No.
intro.
Not in one
No.
take. No.
Yeah,
And I don't think most people watching it that are car people and aren't into that kind of stuff probably don't realize it was one take.
yeah, it was a geek out moment for Brian, our producer.
Yeah.
That he could pull it off.
That was cool, too, because it showed how big our building was, kind of going from area to area.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you break it down, you can it looks a lot smaller. What was your favorite build from each season?
I'd say season 1 for me was Rob Campbell's 53 Ford truck. I just
Yeah.
that truck has everything. I mean, it's got the show car appearance. It's a manual transmission. It drives awesome. It's the total package, really.
In season 1, I definitely like Rob's truck. I also like the 300 because it was
300's cool.
It was totally wacky and crazy looking, and people were like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
Most people would say, "I didn't know you could make a car like that look that. I didn't think you could make a 300 look that cool." It's like, well,
And it drives
That's-
great, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Drives like a Cadillac on
Yeah.
the highway.
that thing is fun. So that actually kind of surprised me a little bit because I wasn't expecting it to. It's like, oh, that's kind of gonna be neat, but that ended up being a.
I know all the shows I took it to, a lot of people liked it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's got a great.
Oh, yeah.
In person, it looks crazy, slammed on the ground. So
Not as much as Tiffany, but still draws a crowd.
yeah,
It was cool.
definitely. So, yeah, I think that was we had some good stuff. Season 2, we had
Yeah.
more. There was a lot going on there.
The 71 Chevelle from season 2 was the car for me. I like, black paint jobs that are slick as hell,
Right.
like that thing was. That's awesome. Having the independent rear suspension and the horsepower that it had. It's a crazy build. Great customer too.
Great customer. We had the Cadillac convertible.
Yeah, that was
the
a good
Eldorado
build.
convertibles. Yeah, really cool. Also
Yeah.
on an independent chassis. Totally.
Pete's F100.
Pete's
Yeah,
F100.
Pete's. I
That's
mean,
probably
there's
my
so many
favorite.
good ones from
That
that.
thing drives great, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a phenomenal truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as low
30
as it is, it doesn't hit anything, too,
Nope.
when you drive it.
Yeah.
It's just static. Yeah, static setup.
Just
The
rides nice,
3100's super nice as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Some great builds from season 2.
the Mini Cooper was a car that I always wanted to, it's the kind of car you think about building and never build or talk about building. Like some wacky little car with a crazy engine swap, and that one had a Honda K engine
Yeah.
in it. So
That was fun to watch at the track.
zipping around.
Yeah. I think it was pretty quick.
So
It's made for that. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah. Taking a track beat on it.
yeah, exactly.
that was So we had a lot of in every one of them. The cool thing about season 2 is we were able to the reveals got better and better and better.
Yeah.
So we did
Being on center ice, I think was
Center
cool.
ice was
the
cool.
Nomad. That
Yeah.
was
That
awesome.
was real cool. That was a lot of fun.
downtown. We closed down the
You guys
highway.
got to drive a Zamboni?
We got to drive
did,
as him.
yeah.
I mean,
that was a good time. The cool thing is St. Louis really kind of got behind us on all of it and
Yeah.
gave us, open doors to everywhere. The only thing that was off limits was the arch grounds. They're like, absolutely not. You cannot go to the arch. Don't go near the arch. You can do anything you want, but don't go near that arch.
There wouldn't have been any good place to do it down there anyways.
Yeah.
The arch?
Yeah.
It's hard to get in. Yeah.
From a video standpoint, like, you're not going to get the arch. Like, you couldn't park at the bottom and see the arch.
I think you can't be too close to a federal monument.
It's a federal monument, yeah.
They don't want you driving into it either, I guess. I'm not sure what the issue was. Someone did fly under it in an airplane once. Maybe they thought we were going to do that. We weren't. So, common misconceptions about the show.
I think when I wrote that out, people that think it costs like $50,000 to build a car. They're not even like halfway into parts. That's a kind of common. Touched on it already, but
common build thing. Yeah,
I kind of jotted down that how many hours it takes to do a build.
Right.
Because you can't, like I said, I mean, you can't tell from watching the show. You know, it looks like a lot of work, but how many hours is that, right? Yeah. Like you see a car come out of the paint booth, you think, man, it's shiny, it's brand new paint, it's done. No, there's 120, 140 hours worth of sanding and buffing that needs to be done to that brand new paint job. That you're not seeing exactly.
Our shop rates are pretty similar to other shops too. I mean, we're 105 for service and 85 for body.
Yeah, I mean,
it adds up quick.
Yeah, it does. And we have talented people here, very talented, and they deserve to make a good living, and we have health care for all of the employees and things like that. So it's like, it's a legitimate place.
Yeah.
You'll get professional work done here. So, and we use good parts. So the parts, we're not going to buy some parts that are subpar that we're going to have problems with later on down the road. We want our customers to be happy, for an extended period of time.
Absolutely.
For a hand-built car.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to pull it off.
It's very hard.
With used parts or crappy parts.
People always want to know how we found builds for the show.
Yeah.
Which we didn't really find builds for the show. The people who were having builds done.
Yeah, they were in the queue. They were there.
Yeah, we already found the builds. They were already here. We were already working on their stuff. We just had to convince them that doing their build on TV was in fact a really good idea.
Yeah.
And like we said, they had a good time with it.
Yeah.
So it was a really good. We weren't lying to them.
I think that's part of the common misconceptions too. I think a lot of people thought we were like overhauling, or we were doing like
a charity type build.
Yeah. But they were actually customers.
Yeah, they were. Well, really, the way to sum it up is just it was a bird's eye view of the shop of what really just goes on here on a daily basis. Yeah. Overall, I mean, it was real customers, real builds, real employees. So I think it's really cool for the people watching that they get to see that, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of things, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of the things you watch on TV are not real. Yeah. Which that's okay. It's entertainment at that
TV,
point. Yeah, it's entertainment. Yeah. But if you're a guy at home, guy or girl at home that wants to build your own car, or you've always dreamed of having a car, you want to see how it's done, I think our show kind of was fulfilling for those kind of people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about it. People, one of the most common comments people made was that they thought they learned something.
Yeah.
Because maybe they knew a little bit about maybe way we sprayed paint or did body work or whatever it might have been. So they really did know how to do it, but we did it in a slightly different way. So there's a lot. I think we actually produced something that people Yeah, and
we got a good taste of that just by all the questions that got emailed into us. Mm-hmm. People wanted to know a little more detail because they got a little taste of it on the show, and they're like, okay, well, I saw how you did that, but how did you finish it, or how did you do this? Yeah. So people were genuinely very interested in what we were doing, because you don't, like I said, you don't really get to see some of that stuff on TV.
We're trying to show a lot more of that right now on YouTube with a lot of our videos.
Yeah, right.
We can get more in depth. Like you were saying, like there's thousands of hours, and then it's cut down to 45 minutes. Now we can show everything on YouTube. And
well, I think for me, like, I'd like to see younger people get inspired from it, especially watching that kind of stuff. When I was younger, kind of getting into this business, all I had was car magazines. I would look through car magazines, and I'd go to car shows.
Right.
I didn't have any. There was no YouTube. There was not car TV shows at all.
You had to wait for the mail to show up or go somewhere in person.
Right. So this, I think, is going to give the younger guys and girls a good advantage, to kind of get inspired and also learn some stuff at the same time.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of our questions and the end of episode 3, Making Speed. Join us next time.
Thanks for coming on, Tim.
My pleasure.
We'll drop you off a quick trip.
Drop me off
on the way out of here.
It's not the voice we were looking for.
Carry me to my office.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to our YouTube page. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe. If you want notifications, click on the bell. If you want to buy some cool merch, click on the info card, or you can click on the link in the bio.